Welcome into Seahawks today, and it is a victory Sunday night, victory Monday morning. Whenever you're watching this episode of Seahawks Today, I am your host, Will Ortner, and your Seattle Seahawks just beat the brakes off the New Orleans Saints in Lumen Field, getting their first home victory of the year. Absolutely love that from our ball club. And honestly, this one was over by the second quarter, and that's the way it needed to be so you could rest some of your starters and get them ready to take on the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday night. Before I dive into my reaction, I want to know what your reaction is. Send me your one-word reaction for today's game. Make sure it gets sent into the comments. I'm always in there hanging out. I'll make sure that I respond to you if I get the opportunity to, especially if you're having a good football conversation. Get your one-word response into what the Seahawks game today meant to you in the comments. For my takeaway, the very first one, Tory Horton, what's up, dude? You arrived. Absolutely electric start to the game. Now, you're going to see his wide receiving stats, which frankly don't do his receiving skills enough justice. The touchdown that he caught in this game, the fact that you go up, make a play on a 50-50 ball, the way that he did, has a corner draped all over him, ball up, still finds a way to make the catch. Absolutely beautiful. But more importantly, that punt return. It's the longest punt return in Seattle Seahawks history. In the history of the ball club, all 50 years, you've never had someone run a ball back the way that Tory Horton did and as far as he did. And frankly, it looked easy. This is why you brought the kid in. It was that he was going to add a little bit to your special teams, but also become one of your top wide receivers. And frankly, I was blown away with the performance that he had today. It felt like Tory Horton has finally arrived as a Seattle Seahawk. Now, this one's going to get a little bit negative, but the run game needs to improve. You were able to dice up this secondary from the New Orleans Saints, but you didn't do it in the way that this offense was built to, and that's by running the football on the ground game, getting a lot of yards on the ground, forcing teams to bring up their secondary, forcing teams to play more of their linebackers in the box, and then taking advantage on the long run. Now, Kenneth Walker had a very good game against Pittsburgh where he was hitting big plays, right? It seemed like as soon as he got the handoff, he'd hit a big hole in that left side against Pittsburgh. Wasn't able to do that this weekend. Wasn't able to do it on Sunday. Obviously, only has 2.4 yards a rush. Same thing, Jacardier Wright, look, man, cool. You got 4 yards to carry. That happened kind of at the end of garbage time. George Alani, again, under 3 yards on average, and he had a fumble. This rushing attack needs to step up, and it can't be, hey, Zach Charbonnet isn't here, so we don't have that grinded-out runner. We're only a big play threat. You need to be able to trust Alani to step up when you don't have Zach Charbonnet, but you also need Kenneth Walker to be able to step up and not just be so reliant on big plays. You need to have a running back that can grind it out, get the tough yardage. You need a running back that isn't afraid to run through someone's face. Seattle is at their best when they have a running back that is mean, that is physical. When you have a running back that is just sitting there dancing around, the big plays are cool, but you can't rely on, hey, we're going to get nothing big play. I need more consistent output. That's why right now you're going with a two-headed monster there at that running back position. It wasn't horrible from Kenneth Walker, but it does need to be improved. If you're not subscribed to Seahawks Today, what are you doing? Where have you been? Where are you at? Make sure you're subscribed. Go in and smash that sub button. Come hang out with us at all of our watch parties. But more importantly, you can hang out with all of the videos, interact with myself, or interact with the other 12s on every single video. We got some great fans here on Seahawks Today. My third takeaway from this game, this defense is freaking unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's a great defense right now, and that's from top to bottom. The defensive line is getting in the backfield constantly, making plays, making Spencer Rattler run around. Now, you didn't have as many sacks as you've had in the past. It felt like there was pressure on every single play for Spencer Rattler. Byron Murphy gets another sack. Leonard Williams is making plays. DeMarcus Lawrence is getting big-time stops. Boye Mafe might have the most amount of pressures right now in the NFL without getting a sack. The guy is constantly in the backfield. He's making people run for their life. And when I look at this defensive line, they are the problem. They are flying around making big plays. I'm going to get into what the rest of this defense is doing and doing so well. But before I do that, I have to talk about today's sponsor, and that is the wonderful Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you could cash in. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. I was playing Prize Picks this weekend. Trust me, I should have used the flex play option. Just saying. For this Sunday, I had made this 3-pick power play. Jordan Love more than 232.5 passing yards against the Browns. Matthew Stafford less than 245.5 passing yards against the Eagles. And our Sam Darnold more than 212.5 passing yards against the New Orleans Saints. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Now, I told you about the defense being unreal, and the second part of this defense being unreal is I kind of get to dive into Derion Kendricks and how well that he has played. And what's most important about Kendrick is he was supposed to be a backup, a third stringer, a guy that, frankly, you didn't have to rely on. But this secondary is so injured. And when you talk about this defense being unreal, it's because of how good they're playing and how well they can be playing in the future. Derion Kendrick already has 2 interceptions on the year. He's really only gotten significant time in the last 2 games because of Nick Emanwari's injury at that nickel position and because Devin Witherspoon's injury, frankly. If it wasn't Nick Emanwari at that nickel spot, then it was going to be Devin Witherspoon. And then in the first game, it was Ty Okuda as that third guy, but frankly, he didn't do enough. Derion Kendrick has 2 interceptions on the year. The kid should have 4. He dropped another one in this game, and he's knocking balls down. He's making plays in the run game. He's flying around, making big-time stops. I just can't sing enough about his praises. He was a guy that was waived by another team, cut, discarded, and you said, no, we need him. The Los Angeles Rams said, we don't need this player, and you said, we do. And he's come in and paid off in spades. Derion Kendrick changes this team, so much so that I don't know if you take him out of being your nickel. And if you do, then you know who you should put in at that right cornerback position? You should put in Derion Kendrick. He's been absolutely freaking awesome for you, and I've been very impressed. He needs more time on this field. The last person that I want to shout out is Sam Darnold, man. The guy's been great. I'm not here to do the Geno Smith or Sam Darnold. Too many people do that. I'm not about it. I want no part of it. But I will say this. Sam Darnold is what you need for this offense. He doesn't turn the ball over. He finds open receivers. He gets more passing yards than what was expected. And he gets touchdowns. He got rid of the turnovers in this game. That was his big bugaboo against the 49ers and against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He found his open receivers in Jaxon Smith-Njigba. We weren't able to get him to 100. I was hoping so very badly. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, flu game. Find a way to get him that first touchdown on the year. Tory Horton, you get him his second receiving touchdown on the year. Cooper Kupp, hey, man, I understand you didn't catch a touchdown. You had 2 big-time catches that were over 15 yards on each of them. So when I look at what Sam Darnold's doing, he's being the maestro. He's leading the way for this offense by taking what the defense gives him and making them pay for it. And he even got out of a couple sacks that should have happened. It's an incredible stat line. Honestly, in my eyes, I know that this was a blowout early. He might be my number 1 player for this game. Let me know who your MVP for this game was. Maybe it was Sam Darnold. Maybe it was Tory Horton. The kid was a baller. Maybe it was Jaxon Smith-Njigba fighting through his injuries and, well, not his injuries, his flu-ness, fighting through being sick. I was very impressed with everything that the Seahawks did today. Let me know who your MVP was in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in.